I think most people want to believe that the world sucks and that they cannot actually push against the world. I actually know that. And the reason why I know that is I could see the videos that actually perform well on this channel. And every time that I sort of have this display how the world is tough, and it really is, trust me, I'm in a profession that the default is to reject everything that I do. And the vast majority of the stuff that I actually do gets rejected. And I deal with this every day. And you don't understand how tough this actually is, because I work on something probably for 6 months, probably even longer, and then it gets rejected almost inevitably. And that happens repeatedly. And it gets to my mind. And it's a really tough thing for me to deal with. And every day I do these videos. I'm trying to build the Reciprocity Project, which in of itself, I want you to imagine this. I'm trying to build a platform that doesn't exist, that nobody else has done before, and that the vast majority of the world would think this is a stupid idea and it's a waste of time and money. And all of this in my head is being played out. And when I do videos that sort of play to that, everybody watches them. And everybody sort of gets their jollies, and then they go on their very merry old way. But I want you to listen to this story, right? And this story I think is really important because it sort of frames what you can possibly do in your circumstance. So when I was about 12, 13 years old, I still remember, it's vivid in my mind. I was going for a walk with my parents, and I was thinking in my head, we were going down this road. It's a dirt road that we used to live on, and we go for walks. And I remember thinking that I just simply have to get different pillars of my life together, whether it was the religious side of things, whether it was how I ate, whether the fitness I had, my education, all of these different things. And it was just sort of different pillars of my life that I had to get together. And, now I am a, tenured professor at a well-known university. I'm a business professor. I've checkboxed everything that, essentially was on that list, on these different pillars of my life. I used to be 20, maybe 30 pounds heavier. I've done all of these kind of things in my life where I've checkboxed, various different aspects. I was really, a very slow athlete, last one to school all the time, right? Like I've been able to checkbox these things. I actually, when I was little, you might watch this video on my YouTube channel. When I was little, I actually had my feet nailed to a board. I have that board someplace. I gotta find it. But and that was to correct my legs. I was when I was supposed to sleep like that every night. So I have felt this, and I went through deep bad moments during my PhD where I didn't speak to anybody, and I would stutter when I would talk to people, and I felt very insecure. It was just really bad moments, right? And I've gone through all of those things, and the process of getting there is always the same, and of getting out of this stuff. There's a moment where you kind of just are like, I've had enough. And then you turn it around, and then there's a couple of weeks where you make a tremendous amount of progress. And then after that, the work gets hard, and you have to keep going at that hard work. And it requires a great deal of gumption, requires you to keep going and to not give up on yourself. And that's where I want you to think about, is the different things in your life. And we all have different things in your life, these sort of pillars in our life, like, me looking back. And there's different ways you can optimize them. This is what an engineer would say. That's who, I'm an engineer. You talk about optimizing these different things, but I don't think it's optimizing, because there's a moment what ends up happening, because it's easy at the beginning to optimize. It's easy to sort of make these changes. And then the hard work begins at about probably a month in, where you realize things are not going as quickly as I can. as they can. I thought that this would be a lot easier. This is very difficult for me to actually do. And this is where you have to think about who you are as a person. And what's going to happen inevitably, people are going to make fun of you. They always do, right? Like I mean, if you're, quite a bit overweight, for example, and you start working out, people are going to make fun of you. They just do. If you haven't done, I went and got, I saw somebody this weekend, and it's nobody that anybody knows. If somebody's watching this and you don't know who this person is, this was just a random person. I was telling them that I'm trying to learn Italian at this moment, and then they're like, ooh, la-di-da. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's not about the moment. It's not about the sort of quick efforts that happen at the beginning, but it's the realizing that, damn it, I'm good enough. And if I'm doing something that is good for me, whatever that thing is, eating carrots every day, that's good for me, and somebody's going to make fun of me, so be it. That's their life. That's not my life. If you have to do that to make yourself good, if that other person has to do that to make themselves feel good, that's all right. And then you just walk on your very old way. All of these things, all of these processes is very similar to the same processes that an entrepreneur or an innovator or anybody would actually experience that are doing something that's new and novel in their life. In fact, it's the same sort of social processes. I don't think that there's very little differences between them, or very big differences between them. That's where you just have to stand up and say, I'm going to do this. That's it. That's the story. I'm going to do this. And it's going to be hard. And it's going to take me a heck of a lot longer than I thought it's going to take. And but I'm going to do this. And then what's going to happen is that you'll make some significant progress when you're doing that. And this is the tricky part, is that you'll reach a moment of, what's called homeostasis, right? Like where things just don't change that much, because your body, your brain, the environment, everything kind of reaches a moment where things just don't change, right? And you're kind of at a people call it a plateau. That's where you have to keep working at it day in and day out, and then your mindset becomes like, hey, this is who I am, and this is my thing, and I'm gonna do this all the time. And then it becomes who you are, your identity. And so the whole thing is such a difficult, challenging process. But here's the thing, at least you're not sitting there listening and dwelling and thinking about how the world is terrible to you. You're actually doing something in your life. And I think that's the important thing. You can sit there and let the world happen to you and dwell and think about, like, this is the worst possible moment in my life, or you can get up and you can change it. That's it. That's a simple thing. I mean, there's nothing else that's there. You can change it. You can do it. I mean, you just have to simply decide to do it and then stick with it and keep going and say, hey, I'm worth it, and I'm going to keep doing this no matter what people say to me, and I'm going to make this thing happen in my life.